My experience span from 35 years in fields connected to national grid like Tenaga for foreign countries, and I was involved in SCADA, which nowadays is something that everybody knows and understand, but in those days not so much. Then I've switched to oil and gas exploration. I was a rig electrician supervisor. I've got some experience on air conditioning system. I founded an IT training company which I gave some support to companies who wanted to improve in terms of efficiency and specifically in Six Sigma. And since I arrived in Malaysia 7 years ago, I'm dedicating myself into renewable energy and green rating tools. I offer in Malaysia services to sustainability department, mainly for building contractors who want to understand better what is required from the GBI requirement when it comes to implementing the different aspects spelled out in a contract. I am a specialist in building response, and building response for buildings means that you have to master what we call thermal imaging, and this is not a field that is very much covered until now in Malaysia, but not every building needs it, but more and more buildings will need it, and there is no other way to do just to make sure that there is no leakage of aircon from the inside outside. And you can only achieve that by making sure that all the aspects of making a building, whether a wall or a curtain wall, present a no leakage response. And I'm a specialist as well in a thermal air conditioning that involves what we call a different type of chillers, which is an absorption chiller. A brief round of what is the tools, genesis and evolutions. People who are my age will recognize this. Until the 60s, we didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was cheap and everything was plentiful. In the 70s, then two major events occurred, and of course people tried to do the same, but with less, and basically less money. So they had to make sure that whatever they would use would be, because it was ration, then the word rationalization came about. This led in the 80s people realizing that resources were limited anyway. That's common sense, everybody understands it, but nobody really addressed this aspect, and people tried to organize themselves. So that's when we saw the emergence of the green movements, the Grün in Germany, and other places in the northern hemisphere of the planet. In the 90s, then the industry took over and tried to find a solution. That's where we saw the peak of all the improvement into all type of efficiency, always based on cost, and the first step into renewable energy. And of course, the 3R. 3R dates back to the 90s. Everybody knows 3R, but in those days, that was something quite new. And this followed in the year 2000 by the appearance of this different rating system to which GBI, Green Building Index, belongs to. And from 2010 onwards, then we saw the limitation of the 4R, the 3R, And people say, no, 3R is not enough. We have to think a bit more about it. So that's the status of the different rating tools in the world. I've added up here GBI because this slide is dated back 2009. That's when the GBI appeared in Malaysia. So, but that's, you see, it's quite widespread, and everybody used the same, basically the same standard. Everything is more or less similar. The rest is just a matter of marketing. People prefer to do lead, but some decides that their country has some sort of specificity, and they have drawn and written different type of ratings. So the talk of today is just to show and try to understand how people started to think to get out of the limitation of the 3R. And there is a new concept, and I insist on concept. Anything when it is started, people basically try their best. Generally, they are heavily criticized, but at the end of the day, it's quite a good attitude. That's how things improve. So the C2C might change name in the near future. But anyway, something different from the 3R needs to occur. Because as we can see here, as we can see here, that's what in many countries the current situation. We produce, and as we produce waste, and waste end up in landfills, which is unfortunate because we don't know generally if the type of waste is safe enough to be just thrown either in the sea for countries that are facing the sea, or inland for countries who have which have the benefit of a large land area. The principle is fairly understood. Population increases, needs increases, people buy more goods lead to more waste, and so on. Then the 3R came about. We have managed to reduce. People have realized that with a small, tiny effort, we can recycle most of the things. I mean, at least segregate for other people to recycle. Not every market is mature, but in markets like in Scandinavian countries nowadays, because they have set up lines of recycling lines, and this is an industrial process, they have to import waste from outside because they've been so efficient into recycling. I mean, I'm talking about people here recycling on an everyday basis. Everything they touch, I mean, the things that they buy at the supermarket, or when they receive a washing machine brand new, they make sure the carton and the polystyrene and things like this are segregated at base. And they take these segregated items to dedicated areas. We're starting to see that in Malaysia. It didn't happen overnight in specifically Sweden. It took them 20 years to reach that. But inevitably, Malaysia will be confronted or will behave in the same way. So, still, the 3R present limitation. Present limitation because even though we recycle things, there is always a small amount of waste that needs to end up, that has no other way but to end up in a landfill. And as the population grows, that the standard of living of people, and it is quite normal, needs to increase for every country. That's every right for people to live in a better condition, better surrounding, but this will lead to more waste. So some people said, so why don't we try to just think a bit further and make products that by design are no longer eligible to have a structure just to take care of some waste. So you have a few companies who have already committed to this, big names, and you always need big names to do this. And this is a concept that is heavily criticized, but at the same time, nobody can deny that we have to find a way to getting to try to reduce as much as we can the wastage and increase the efficiency of the resources that we have. So the definition that I took from Wikipedia is C2C is a holistic economic, industrial and social framework that seeks to create systems that are not only efficient but also essentially waste-free. I think it's a very good definition, and the word holistic encompasses all the different aspects that's the meaning embedded in this word. It's we have to think not as one, but as part of a community. That's the thing. The rest becomes a circuit. So, GreenCon, when I met them, I was involved, and I'm still involved with this project, which is the new PKNS headquarters in Shah Alam, which has been awarded what we call a DA Platinum with a design assessment, meaning that the design of the building, if everything is completed according to what has been designed, the building will get a platinum rating. So this platinum rating is not many buildings in Malaysia have a platinum rating. Most other platinum ratings are government related. People would say in Malaysia that PKNS is government related, but for everybody know, I don't have to go into details. PKNS belongs to the Sultanate of Selangor, and so Selangor has its own issues, and they have to make sure that what they try to achieve, they will achieve by the means of data and results that cannot be challenged. The target for this, since GBI is a points-related rating, is supposed to achieve 95 points out of 100, which is massive. Means you cannot get away of all the aspects that are addressed in a GBI, and in every single the 6 items, basically you have almost 100% points to achieve. So one of the client's requirement was to make sure that the debris and the waste recycling was so efficient insofar that no landfill will be covered by the wastage produced by the construction of this building. And in that aspect, GreenCon came, and that's why I put GreenCon words and deeds. And when I asked them, can you take back your debris? First reaction was, say, why do you want me to take back my debris? I sold my blocks. And I said, yes, you sell your blocks, but at the same time, you have a CSR policy. And a corporate social responsibility means that you want to take care, like all the companies who claim that they have a CSR policy, they just forget that they are responsible for their products. And that includes the packaging and the leftovers. It's easy to sell, say, oh, I sell cheap, but then I don't care about what's going to happen with the wastage. Green Corn understood that easily. And they say, yes, we're going to take back every truck that when we deliver in KL, every truck that goes to KL will stop by not only for you, for now, not only for your project, but any other project, so that we optimize the truck trip, and we don't go back to Moir, because Green Corn factory is in Moir. We do not go back empty loaded. So I said, that's great, and that's why I put, but it doesn't appear much, here. Green Corn is the first construction material manufacturer who does this in Malaysia. There is no other, not even the big one, like cement people who have nice websites saying, yes, we do, but when you ask them, nobody's there. So it's laudable that we mention this kind of decision making, and I wish to thank the founding manager, which is just sitting behind here today. So everything is nice in a AAC product, as you know. It helps you. It's lightweight. That means less weight on the structure. So that means less dead weight for the M&E, for the CNS consultant when they design a building, and then a better thermal response. So that means less smaller chillers to cool down these places. All these items, but there is only one item that we have to look into. That's why I put the little 8 that can't be digested, is the the sulfate. The sulfate, when you take the block, and if you decide to send it to the landfill, after a while, it will leach. And then you will leach this SO4, will recombine, and you will pollute all the water tables and the sources of water, and the water table in Malaysia is quite high, so the contamination level is quite widespread. The rest I'll let you read because everybody knows that. The raw materials are mixed, poor in molds. It's just like baking at a large scale, and to bake a bread you put the yeast so that it just expands, and here it is done, it's the same principle. You put some aluminium powder, just expand, and as it expands, it creates bubbles, and these bubbles, basically any block that is called insulating block, it's actually a block that has managed to trap the air, because air is the best insulator forever. There will be things that will be on certain application more efficient, but then it's not basically applicable to the normal standard of building that we want to raise in most countries. The recycling of AAC is quite standard in the sense that because you have sand, cement, when you have these blocks, you crush them, and this could be reused, as you can see, in a different type of activities. This is mainly in Europe. It could be used in Malaysia for the screedings, but people are not used to it, and they don't basically adhere to the idea. It will take time. Everything has to be explained and understood before. And as they always tell me, I mean, you sure it's going to work? You sure? I say, yes, I'm sure. Can you try? I mean, yes, I try. So once they see, then they believe. So outside Malaysia, no problem, but inside Malaysia, you have no facilities. Sorry, the screen is not big enough, I guess. So there's no facilities, and so that creates a challenge. So when I ask Greencon, I said, so where are you taking the debris? He said, well, again, going back to factory. So where is the factory? So that's why I put the 2 slides. I found, because you see, that's where the factory is. It's the middle of nowhere. It's a palm trees area. So I managed, because some smart guy took the pictures along this road, right? And that's the place. So you can see that this type of activity can be located in basically some areas. And I was wondering, in some areas that are not logically found, you would expect that industrial estate. So I didn't understand why until I saw this. So this, they were quite keen on showing me that the blocks that I ended up from the different work site, then they are crushed, then they are piled up and crushed again until they come back to raw material. So I was satisfied. No, not much to say, but since I was there, I saw this. And I said, well, what is it? And they said, this is the water, because to have AC blocks, you need to, because in autoclave, you need steam. So high pressure steam, or not so high pressure steam, not so high temperature, but you need steam. And then to enhance the chemical reaction with the silicate and the cement and the aluminium powder. And this, frankly, I've never seen. People might say, yes, we have done it, but personally, in 7 years in Malaysia, I've never seen an industrial manufacturer and a manufacturer that takes the trouble to collect the rainwater and use it. He would have certainly tried to tap the main water supplies, and then, as we all know, because not so long ago we experienced shortage of water in Selangor, and I live in KL, and my area was affected, but nobody has thought that basically it is the industry that use major. And if we were to ask the industrial just to collect a bit of water, then we would have to make less effort with buckets and tanks and queuing and all these kind of things, just by a small, very smart. But is it really smart? It's only logical. It's common sense. So the process, because the water that you need to have to make these blocks, then you have to filter it, and these are the storage and filter apparatus. And of course, once they use and the steam just cool down for them to open, just like a pressure cooker, they let down. There's still some water, and this water, the residual water, in a different baking cylinder, end up here, and then the cycle start again. But then I asked, what is this black mass? And he said, well, we are living in the middle of a small community where we have palm oil pickers, and they don't know what to do with the shells of the palm oil. So we use the shells as fuel for our boiler burners. We have modified them slightly so that it can take the shells. And that's two benefits. We are no longer dependent on the oil price. We are only dependent marginally on the oil palm price, but it's not in the same ratio. So what we do with this, it's a once he has provided the energy that we require to bake the cakes. The ashes are collected, and we use the ashes as a fertilizer. So that, again, shows you to the extent where they went. But all this has good reason, and we will talk about it later on. So when I say these people have achieved and respected the C2C, because the C2C talks about material health, and the blocks, as we know, are healthy. For the one who already know that what the indoor air quality, it's major, because as we make buildings that have a response that is lower and lower, I mean, the response, that means that the aircon that you produce stays inside and they are not disseminated and leaking on the outside. So because you make sealed building, you have what is called like the building syndrome. And this is completely related to the type of quality of air. Not everything can be filtered, so less products that have a potential to contaminate the air, the better. So that's why the GBI addressed this and all the other rating tools by the what they call the IAQ, and specifically the VOC content of our products. So I'm going fast, and I'm almost finished. The environmental benefits and financial certitudes, when you minimize the resources and, of course, the water, you control the level of energy that you have to buy outside. So I believe that except from the bulbs, they don't use much energy from Tenaga. The raw materials is more and more. And I've been told so now, just now by the MD, saying that they are reusing more and more waste material. And this makes that this product is not dependent on, or less dependent on the fluctuation of utilities. Other initiative we're discussing with Greencorn and Colta is the life cycle assessment based on ISO 14040 and 14044, Greencorn carbon footprint, and I'm producing an article in the next Building and Investment magazine in relation with the scoring and the economical readability and visibility for the client, because client needs to say, how can I score the point? So we're going to try to solve that issue. So my name is Miguel Diaz. You have my contact. As far as Greencorn is concerned, the marketing manager is Alan Tan. And if you want more insight in the BNI magazine of the September issue, I explained the project that you saw earlier, the PKNS, and try to describe how green is green, but seen from the hands-on point of view.